Well, Growers Edge, I think, has made us more money by allowing me to survey the local bids that I'm in the area that I want to sell my grain. The local elevators and the ethanol plants know that this information is out there, so they've got to be competitive if they want to get the grain. You know, we've been able to maximize our return on our farm.
Good afternoon, welcome to GrainTV. It's October 8th, 2014. I'm Logan Burgess. To my right here is Cody Bills. Well, we had a mixed trade in Chicago for the grains. Take a look at the iPad here and see where we closed out the trade session. Corn up 2 3/4. Soybeans closing lower, down 6 1/4. We had Chicago wheat moving up just a penny and a half there. Just a reminder, if you want this mobile trading app on your own tablet or smartphone for Friday's USDA report, visit us over at grainhedge.com. You can get live quotes going for that report on Friday. Cody, one thing that was supporting the grains here today a bit was a dollar index, which finally broke from the trend that we've really seen since about August this year. Take a look at this daily chart. You can see here we had a fairly strong close below that trend line. Technically, it is now broken, but it really broke late in the trade session. Mid-session, we actually saw a little bit of a rebound, but we saw a lot of selling pressure enter toward the closing bell. As I said, one thing that helped corn and wheat both close in positive territory. Soybeans did close off their lows, but still down 6 cents on the day.
Absolutely. And you take a look at soybeans here, and you'll notice that it looks as though we came up right on that trend line here and bumped on it. That was right around that 955 area that we were talking about earlier on in the week,
right,
that we thought would offer some resistance. In the earlier part of the trade, though, we were really trading down pretty significantly this morning. It was looking like we're going to make another run at $9 or so. But I think as that U.S. dollar broke, it added a little bit of support here to soybeans, and one of the things that helped us finish off the day in the middle part of the range that we traded. One other thing to keep in mind, though, is that we had the weather models, so at the middle of the day, they were kind of revised slightly, and we saw, it looks like a little bit wetter forecast here for the second week in the model. I think that's another thing. People are a little bit concerned. We're already behind pace in terms of harvest.
Right.
I think, you know, if we continue to see some more moisture here, we could see that pace continue to slow. But as for today, I think a lot of planters, or a lot of combines out there cutting, and we should see a little bit of a jump here next week.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, one thing that seemed to be in the market today was positioning ahead of Friday's report. Let's quickly review what we are looking for here in terms of expectations in that report. As you can see from this slide here, the middle column is what we got from the USDA in September. The right column is the average trade guess from a poll conducted by Reuters earlier this week. You can see that on average here, traders are looking for about 100 million bushels added to the corn production figure. Soybeans up quite a bit, 60 million bushels expected added there. Remember, we did get a bullish surprise in the September 1st grain stocks report. That was about a 30 million bushel shock to the market. So now as we approach this report, expectations are for the production side of this new crop to more than make up for the shortcomings there at the end of the old crop marketing year. I guess just one more piece of evidence that we had talked about a little bit, that we thought that September grain stock report was going to be a flash in the pan, even if it did come out a little bit tighter than expectations. Obviously, Cody, here, production side numbers are going to carry over into the ending stock figures, and on average here, analysts looking for what could be a relatively bearish report for the corn market.
Absolutely, and of course this week we also saw ethanol production and stocks, and one of the things that we did notice was that ethanol production was up about 20,000 barrels per day to 901,000 barrels per day. We also saw ethanol stocks declining here, down 177,000 barrels. We ended up at 18.65 million barrels. So those seem to be relatively positive ethanol numbers here. I'm not entirely sure I would be convinced that that's the reason why we were closing near the highs. I think people are more focused here on the weather, on the harvest pace, whether or not we're going to be able to get this crop off in a timely manner.
Yeah, obviously as we look here toward the remainder of the week, tomorrow we are going to be getting export sales out, and on average here, analysts looking for 400 to 600,000 metric tons of wheat sold. Corn, 550 to 750,000 tons, and on soybeans, 500 to 900,000. Keep an eye on that wheat number. If you remember last week, we saw pretty darn large sales of U.S. wheat. That seems to be a trend that's starting to develop here after this significant price slide. We'll have to see if we get that tomorrow as well. That report's going to be out at 7:30 Central Time. If you want to see live comments from that report, follow us on Twitter at GrainTV is where you can find us over there. And then as a reminder, on Friday at 11 o'clock Central, we're going to be getting that October USDA report. If you have plans to be out in the field here tomorrow or Friday during the USDA report, but you want live quotes out of Chicago, visit us at grainhedge.com here this evening. Sign up on the left side of the website. You can download the app immediately, log in, and start viewing those live quotes. You have a 2-week trial, so it's a great way to get to take advantage of that app when you're out in the field harvesting this year's crop. If you have any questions about that, as always, call the office, 877-472-4607. Have a great evening. We'll see you tomorrow for the Export Sales Report.